All right, welcome back to the Violet Vault. So for our entire lives, we've been taught to think of our homes and our cars as our two biggest expenses, right? They're these giant money pits we just pour cash into. But what if I told you that entire idea is about to be turned completely upside down? We're about to unlock a financial secret that's been hiding in plain sight, literally in your driveway and on your roof, that could turn your biggest expenses into income generators.
I mean, just let this quote sink in for a second. Think about it. A car's always been one of the worst depreciating assets you can own. But this is a total game changer. We're talking about new technology that's turning your car from a liability into a storage asset, a way to create a brand new stream of cash flow, almost out of thin air. It's a wild shift in thinking.
So, how in the world does this actually work? Well, it all starts with realizing that the old rules of home energy, they're being thrown right out the window. The entire game is changing, and you, my friend, are in the perfect spot to take advantage of it. You see, for years, the deal with solar was pretty simple. Your panels make extra power during the day, you sell it back to the grid, and the utility company gives you a little credit on your bill. Super easy. But here's the thing. So many people have solar now that the grid is flooded with power in the middle of the day. And just like with anything, when there's too much supply, the price crashes. Utilities are paying way less for it. That whole era is basically over. So this is the new strategy, the secret sauce. The smartest move isn't to just sell your solar power for pennies anymore. No. It's to capture all that cheap, free energy from the sun stored in your own battery, like in your house or your EV, and then use it yourself in the evening, when electricity from the grid is ridiculously expensive. It's all about timing. And that simple idea of timing brings us to the core financial strategy that makes this whole thing tick. It's a concept that traders on Wall Street use every single day, but now we get to use it right in our own homes. It's called arbitrage. Now, arbitrage sounds like a fancy, complicated finance term, but I promise you, it's incredibly simple. It's just taking advantage of price differences. We're talking about the classic rule of making money: buy low, sell high. You just charge up your batteries when power is dirt cheap, like when the sun is blasting or late at night, and you hold on to it. So here's how it plays out. Step 1, your system automatically fills up your battery with that cheap energy. Step 2, you just wait. You wait for everyone to get home from work, crank up their ACs, and start making dinner, causing electricity prices to spike. And then step 3, your smart system automatically sells some of that stored energy back to the grid for a nice little profit. It's the buy low, sell high playbook, but it's totally automated for your home. I absolutely love this analogy because it makes it so clear. Why on earth would you sell your power for pennies at noon only to buy it back for dollars at 7 p.m.? It's like selling your bag of groceries for $5 at lunchtime and then having to buy the exact same bag back for $20 for dinner. It's crazy, right? With a battery, you can just store those groceries in your own pantry and eat for cheap whenever you want. So, what's the magic trick that makes this all possible? Well, this whole financial opportunity really hangs on one key piece of technology. It's the thing that turns your home and your car from being just passive energy consumers into, active players in the energy market. For like 100 years, power has been a one-way street. It flows from the big power plant down the wires to your house. End of story. But now, with something called bidirectional charging, it's not a one-way street anymore, it's a two-way superhighway. Your car and home can not only pull energy from the grid, they can now push energy back to it. And this is the tech that makes it happen: vehicle to grid, or VTG for short. This is what officially turns your EV into a money-making machine. I mean, think about it. Your car's battery is massive, way bigger than a typical home battery. With VTG, that giant battery becomes a mobile power source that you can use to help out the grid and earn passive income while it's literally just sitting in your garage. And hey, don't think this is some far-off future fantasy. It is happening right now. Check out this guy, Xiao Yu, in Shanghai. He charges his car at home overnight when the power is super cheap. Then he drives to work and plugs into a special V2G station. During the day, when prices are high, he sells a little bit of that power back to the grid. He's making about $70 a month for doing absolutely nothing. The car does all the work. Okay, so one person earning an extra $70 a month is pretty cool. But this is where the idea really scales up and gets incredibly powerful. What happens when it's not just one car, but thousands of homes and cars, all connected and all doing the same thing? You get something truly revolutionary. It's called a virtual power plant, or a VPP. Just imagine, An entire neighborhood's worth of solar panels, home batteries, and electric cars all network together. Then some really smart software coordinates all of them to send out a little bit of power at the exact same time. And together, they act just like one giant traditional power station.
And the beautiful thing is, it all starts at the micro level. It begins with just one home, your home. One set of solar panels, one battery. This little setup is the fundamental building block of this entire new energy system. It starts with you.
But now, let's zoom out. Picture not just your house, but every house on your street, every home in your town. Thousands of them, all linked together by smart software and an internet connection, all working in perfect harmony.
And that's the punchline. All of a sudden, your community becomes the power station. So when a massive heat wave hits and the grid is about to buckle, the VPP calls on all those little batteries to send a little help, and together they prevent a blackout. You're no longer just a consumer of power, you're a critical partner, keeping the lights on for everyone. Okay, helping the grid, preventing blackouts, that's all great stuff, but let's get down to brass tacks. What's in it for you financially? This is where it gets really exciting, because you get paid for this in a few different ways. We're talking about multiple, stacked streams of income. First up, you have what are called performance payments. The best way to think about this is like a retainer. You're getting paid just for being available. You can earn between $500 and $1,200 a year simply for having your battery on call for the VPP. You get this money whether they actually use your power or not. It's a payment for just being part of the team.
Next, you get paid for events. This is kind of like surge pricing for your house. When there's a real emergency, like the grid is under major stress, the VPP will call for help, and the payout is huge. People in places like California are already earning an extra $15 to $30 in a single afternoon during one of these events.
And then there's this hidden gem. It sounds super technical. It's called FCAS, but here's the simple version. The grid has to stay perfectly balanced, second by second. Your battery can make tiny little millisecond adjustments to help keep it stable, and you earn micro payments for it all day, every day. It's like finding loose change in the couch cushions, except it adds up to another $200 to $400 a year. And the best part is, getting started is surprisingly easy. Most of the new solar and battery systems are already VPP ready right out of the box. You just pick a provider and then you set your own rules. And this is so important. You are always in control. You can tell the system, hey, no matter what, never let my battery drop below 30%. So you always have more than enough power for your own needs. It's set it and forget it income. So, when you zoom out, the big picture is this. The whole concept of a smart home has finally grown up. Your home is no longer just a place that is connected to the grid and consuming energy. It's a place that is productive. It's a productive financial asset that generates real income for your family and supports your entire community. You're not just saving money anymore, you're earning it. This shift is turning one of your biggest liabilities into a revenue stream. So, it really just leaves us with one final and kind of fun question to think about. When your house starts cutting you a check each month, what would you do with your energy dividend? Let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear your ideas.
Wow, that was something, right? But don't go anywhere, there's more coming, and it's gonna make you think in a whole new way. Quick reminder, if you like learning cool stuff without the fluff, subscribe now. You won't regret it.
For pretty much all of history, wealth was simple, right? It was land, gold, buildings, actual stuff you could touch. But what if I told you that today, right now, the most valuable assets on the entire planet are completely invisible? Well, that's the world we're going to dive into today, a world where ideas are actually worth way more than real estate. Just let that sink in for a second. The most valuable real estate isn't some skyscraper in New York City. It's the space between your ears. And look, that's not just a clever saying. It is the foundation of a brand new economy where your ideas, your unique ways of doing things, and your data have become the new gold. So how does this really work? Let's break it all down. To really wrap our heads around this massive shift, let's compare two totally different kinds of investors. It's a simple story, but it perfectly shows the old way of building wealth versus the new way. So over here on the left, we've got Marcus the landlord. He owns a physical house and he deals with all the classic headaches, right? Leaky faucets, property taxes, tenants calling at 2 a.m. His asset is tangible, sure, but it's high maintenance and his income is totally capped. Now look over at Elena, our IP lord. She didn't buy a thing, she created something, a design logic. You can think of that as a unique blueprint or a special process for solving a problem. She then licenses blueprint to 3 different companies. Her asset? It has basically 0 overhead, costs nothing to copy, and can be sold to 3 companies or 3,000. That, my friends, is the incredible power of infinite scale. That story just perfectly contrasts the old way with the new. But to really start seeing the opportunities here for you, we need to get clear on a really fundamental question. What actually is an asset? Let's just look at the official definition, because it might be a lot broader than you think. So according to Wikipedia, an asset is just an economic resource that you expect to provide future benefits. For centuries, our minds immediately went to things like land, or gold, or buildings. But notice what that definition doesn't say. It doesn't say an asset has to be physical. And that little detail right there, well, that's where all the opportunity is hiding. And listen, this isn't some futuristic fantasy we're talking about. This slide says it all. As of right now, these intangible assets, ideas, brands, patents, they're not just some nice-to-have legal thing anymore. They've become a primary source of actual cash for companies and even for individuals. This shift, it's already happened. So what kind of intangible assets are we actually talking about here? Well, the list is way bigger than you might imagine. Of course, you've got the classics you see here, patents, trademarks, copyrights. But the real potential is in the stuff you might not even think of as property, like a secret family recipe or a unique design logic just like Elena's, or maybe a specially curated dataset, or even just powerful brand recognition. So, if you have one of these valuable, invisible assets, how do you turn it into actual cash? Well, you don't have to sell it. In fact, the most powerful tool in the IP Lord's toolbox is something called licensing. I want you to think of it like becoming a landlord, but for your ideas. The idea behind it is so beautifully simple. You let someone else use your IP, your idea, under very specific terms. They pay you for that privilege, usually as ongoing payments called royalties. And here is the absolute best part. You never, ever give up ownership. You're just renting out access to your idea. And the process itself is pretty straightforward when you break it down. First, you create and protect your intellectual property. Then you put together an agreement that sets all the rules. After that, you grant permission for a very specific use. And finally, you just sit back and collect those recurring payments. It's like a machine you build once that can pay you forever. And just how big is this opportunity? You might want to sit down for this. According to Partners Group, the global market for royalties is estimated at a staggering $2 trillion. This is not some little niche strategy. I mean, from the music you stream, to the medicine you take, to the phone in your pocket, this is a fundamental piece of the entire global economy. And you can see just how powerful this model is when you look at some of the biggest companies in the world. Take ARM, for example. The chip in your phone, it probably wasn't made by them, but it was almost certainly designed by them. They just licensed that core design to everybody else. Or think about Lego. Yeah, they sell plastic bricks, but they make an absolute fortune licensing their brand for movies and video games. The secret, the key mindset shift here, is to stop thinking like you're making a product and start thinking like you're building a platform. You create the rules and you let other people play the game. Okay, now this is where it gets really, really interesting for every single one of us watching. This isn't just for big corporations or some genius inventor in a lab. The next frontier is all about the assets you are creating every single day, maybe without even realizing it. We are entering an era where your personal data, your habits, your unique insights, your digital footprint can be packaged up and monetized as a valuable asset. And the key here is you can do this while keeping total control and privacy. Forbes actually highlighted some mind-blowing models for how this could work. First, picture something called a royalty meter. It's like getting a tiny little payment every single time your anonymous shopping data helps an AI get just a little bit smarter. Next, there's this idea of personal insight funds. Imagine pooling your encrypted health data with thousands of other people to create this powerful data set that researchers can pay to access, and the profits get paid out to you as data dividends. And my personal favorite is compute to data. This is where you let a company's algorithm visit your data, do its math, and leave with only the answer. It never actually sees or takes your raw information. You're basically renting out your data's processing power while it stays safe and sound in your own vault. So, you might be thinking, okay, this is absolutely fascinating, but how in the world do I actually start? Let's shift from the what and the why to the how. What's the very first step on the path to becoming an IP lord? Well, it really just boils down to 3 key actions. Step 1 is to do an audit. What do you know that other people don't? What unique process have you developed at work or for a hobby? What special data have you collected? Step 2, document everything. Get it out of your head and onto paper, making sure the ownership is crystal clear. And step 3, build a deal package. This just means gathering proof that what you have is valuable and getting it all ready for the market. And this brings up such a critical point. You have to be thinking about how you're going to make money from this from day one. An asset that's designed with licensing in mind is just fundamentally more valuable. You build it from the very beginning to be flexible, to be scalable, and to be easy to protect. That little bit of forethought is what makes it so much easier to turn into a real revenue stream down the road. So, that brings us all the way back to the central question of this whole explainer. Forget about what's in your bank account for a second or what's in your garage. I want you to take a look inside your own mental vault. What unique ideas, what skills, what data is just sitting in there waiting to be turned into your next great asset? That's the question that could change everything for you.
Thank you for spending time with us here at the Violet Vault. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, stay focused and keep growing.